Boom shakalaka!
Welcome to The Note. I'm Ashley.
I'm Brian.
The new NBA 2K19 game is out. It is winning a lot of praise so far for its graphics and gameplay, but despite all that, some fans of the series are pretty pissed, and it seems like they have very good reason to be.
Good reason. You might remember there was a huge outcry last year around the pervasiveness of virtual currency in the last game of the series, NBA 2K18.
What?
Yes.
It became a sore spot with players because virtual currency was required to do a ton of stuff in the game, like getting a haircut, tattoos. It all required this currency.
That's too realistic. And that virtual currency could be purchased for real money, of course, as well as earned in-game, but it took a while to grind, as in you'd need to play hundreds of games to get your players to the same level as if you'd just spent an extra 40 or 50 bucks to level them up real quick.
Well, and for a time it seemed like 2K learned its lesson about microtransactions because there was a lot of backlash to this. They apologized, and it seemed like, you know, mainly players were not happy with them, and they said, "We're sorry. We're so sorry that we were charging you to get your player's haircut. We won't do it again."
But it turns out maybe 2K didn't learn that lesson after all, because NBA 2K19, it looks like it's repeating a lot of the same bad habits of the previous game.
Well, as for the game itself, NBA 2K19 has been getting pretty good reviews so far. It's sitting at an 88 on Metacritic and 81 on OpenCritic.
People love the game itself. Forbes called it the most complete sports game I've ever played, adding, "There's no such thing as a perfect sports game, but this is as close as it gets."
IGN said it throws every resource it has into the theatrics of the sport, creating charismatic presentation, a well-written story mode, and strong core gameplay.
But lots of reviewers also noticed that, like a lot of sports games, like your FIFAs of the world, it is chock full of microtransactions still.
Yeah, WCCF Tech said that the game offers some refreshing story and gameplay improvements, but they don't quite make up for an aggressive monetization scheme that hasn't been updated in any meaningful way.
IGN added that the virtual currency that you can use to speed up your progress comes at a frighteningly high cost.
How high?
How
high? Normal My Team packs range from $5 to $10, and then the more expensive packs cost double that.
IGN added, "Without dedicating major time to My Team, it's hard to imagine being competitive with people who will shell out the cash for a better team."
Again, this was a huge complaint that people had with the last NBA 2K game, and that it had kind of gone pay to win, and that it was really penalizing you if you didn't shell out the extra money. Like the grind that it was asking you to put in just to be able to afford a haircut with virtual currency was ridiculous.
And the game's developers seemed to indicate this time around they'd fix things, they'd listen to us, they were gonna make it not so punishing.
Right, so in a recent interview with Trusted Reviews, the game's senior producer, Rob Jones, said they've learned from fan feedback and they don't want players to feel like they're being taken advantage of. So there will be more ways besides buying currency to get in-game items in NBA 2K19.
But then he also said that microtransactions, they're an unfortunate reality of modern gaming.
Yeah, that gem of a quote. Well, it looks like the microtransactions are definitely back in NBA 2K19. And what's worse, players have noticed that the experience points you can get from actually playing the game seem to have been nerfed.
Which means that the grind might be just as bad as it ever was. And while there are more ways to get virtual currency through playing the game, it's still, again, a lot quicker just to spend real money and buy it.
But hey, haircuts are free now.
There
So
is
it's all better,
There's
right?
that. Fans on the game subreddit noticed that the day the game's regular edition came out, the developer lowered the amount of experience you earn in My Career games, which again means it'll take even longer to grind the stats that you want for your characters.
So this has led to a flurry of criticism, people saying they're going to skip this year's installment. Some accused 2K of nerfing the experience gains after the game had been reviewed so they'd get more positive coverage, because then the reviews wouldn't quite take as much issue with the costs of things.
Regardless, not a great look for 2K, but of course, the microtransactions, they're there. We've reported on this a lot because they make a lot of money.
Well, and particularly for sports titles that tend to lean more towards a mainstream audience, for players who maybe aren't as watchdoggy about things like microtransactions, about things like pay to win, they just go, throw a couple bucks at it. I don't really care.
I can beat my friends easier this way.
Right.
Yeah.
So just for fun, let's take a closer look at just how lucrative those microtransactions are for the developer.
I dug into the numbers a little bit. 2K's parent company, Take-Two Interactive, which of course also owns Rockstar Games.
Which is important because of GTA Online.
Oh, yes. It reported that it made $388 million in revenue in the first quarter of the 2019 fiscal year. That's just one quarter.
It's a lot, and a whopping 62% of that came from microtransactions and downloadable content purchases.
So well over half of the company's entire revenue came from microtransactions. And Take-Two shouted out some individual games. It said the biggest contributors to that revenue were GTA 5, GTA Online, and NBA 2K18, which has sold more than 10 million copies, even with all those microtransactions.
Oh boy. And so with that in mind, it is more accurate to look at microtransactions not just as an add-on for some of these games, but actually as the main source of revenue for some of the big game publishers.
Yeah, this isn't the side business. This is the business.
Right now, the game is the side business. The game is like the entry point to where you can start spending money.
Shovel those microtransactions.
And all it cost you was $60 for the privilege. Yeah. It's also worth wondering how bad microtransactions are going to be then in Red Dead Redemption 2, potentially, or if Rockstar is going to wall them off behind the game's multiplayer mode, like they did with GTA Online. Likely.
Yeah, another thing to think about, loot boxes, they're coming under fire from some governments in Europe, especially Belgium and the Netherlands. Makes you wonder if the 2Ks of the world will now double down even harder on them in the countries where they're still allowed.
Or maybe see like what they can get while they get is good. Regardless, it's yet another sign that many publishers will continue to monetize the shit out of their games as much as they possibly can, no matter how much it affects the overall experience, as long as, well, the profits are there.
What do you guys think of this latest controversy with microtransactions?
Just the latest.
Just the latest. Are you an NBA 2K player? What have your experiences been with the latest game? If you've played it, let us know in the comments.
And for all your gaming news, make sure you like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the Now.